Hey guys, welcome back to Thunderdome Homestead. Hopefully you had a safe, awesome, and fantastic weekend. Hopefully y'all still got all your digits. And if not, you may want to reconsider that sign language class you had planned for next month. So, I want to talk to you guys about what's going on in the Netherlands. So, over there, the net zero carbon emissions crowd, they're back at it again, guys. And so over there, they put in some legislation into effect, which, if it's not going to completely put the farmers and ranchers out of business over there, it's going to greatly hurt them to where it's almost not worth them doing their jobs. So these guys went out and they protest. They put their tractors and farm implements and stuff, and they blocked roadways, and they blocked access and egress to certain establishments over there. And it was met by police. They fired upon them. The police fired upon these guys, and then they come back with a tank. These farmers pulled all their money together, and they come back with a fully functional tank. That's awesome. And the argument can be made that if you don't have the same weaponry as the people you're opposing, then you're dead in the water from the beginning. So, but anyhow, yeah, all this stuff that happens in Europe, guys, eventually it comes over here, to the United States. So, the net zero carbon emissions tactic is different in different places. You know, some countries, they say by 2050, some by 2030, some by, you name it. And it is in itself inherently a flawed ideology, because I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why. So, in food production, so ever since Adam and Eve left the garden, and if you don't believe in that, then ever since the caveman ugged his first dugga, we have relied upon industrial agriculture to feed our caloric needs as a people. So, it's not like we can just go out and forage and hunt for our own food, because our population density has become so great in the vast majority of the world that it's just not feasible. The natural resources aren't there. So, we need ranching and farming. If you take net zero and you put that in the equation, that makes that impossible. It's not like we can just pivot back to the way that things used to be. We can't just hook the old mule up back up to the plow and be able to feed all of our people, because the advent of the modern tractor was created to be able to keep up with demand, whereas we couldn't before. So the diesel that is required to run the tractors, the oil that is used to lubricate the engine parts and different parts of your steering and suspension modules on these tractors, all require fossil fuels. That's just the food portion of it. Now let's go on to energy. So the traditional thought of green energy in the mainstream consists of two things: solar and wind. For the sake of today's discussion, I'm just going to stick with wind. So, in order to create a wind turbine, windmill, whatever you want to call it, in order to make that possible, you need fossil fuels. I don't care what anybody says. So, you start off, you need diesel excavators to dig out your foundation. Then, you use, if it is not the most, it is one of the most polluting processes in the entire world. The production and creation of concrete is probably the worst thing in the environment that we do today. So, you pour yourself a mud mat, you build yourself a rebar cage, and then you frame out where you want your concrete to be around this rebar cage. You pour your concrete, And you take that framing and those panels off, and then you backfill it with more diesel-powered stuff. Once that's done, that's just your foundation. And I believe it's like 600 some yards of concrete. That's not a small area, okay? So, then, you need a diesel-powered crane to place your whole structure in. And it comes in multiple pieces. So, it is multiple different lifts with the crane. Your turbine typically is going to be one of your last placements with the crane. Once that is in place and your blades on, your turbine blades, your fan blades are on, you're just about done. Okay? So, the thing about it is, once it's done, its lifespan doesn't last very much longer than the time it takes for it to pay itself off financially and ecologically. So, basically, it doesn't save that much of the environment, and it costs a lot more to make than it's worth. Then, those blades that you see spinning, that make the turbine spin, those aren't recyclable. You can't just reuse them. You can't melt them down, turn them into something else. They literally get taken off, they get buried, and covered back over. Because they don't... It takes years and years and years for these things to break down. And they're not recyclable. They're not reusable. So tell me exactly how green that is. And tell me how it's even possible without fossil fuels. So, just a little food for thought today, guys. This net zero stuff, it's not going to work. At least not with today's technology. So, alright, guys. Talk to you later.